The Assisi Development Foundation began in 1975 with a simple desire among like-minded friends to work for social justice and progress for the benefit of the poor in the Philippines. Fueled by the passion and piety of its founder, Ambassador Howard D., and guided by the social justice teachings of the Catholic Church, the Assisi Development Foundation successfully evolved as an organization through the most trying moments in modern Philippine history.
I remember we had to write an essay as part of the graduation of what we want to be. And I thought I would not live longer than 60 years old. I'm now 80. And I said my first 20 years will be devoted to study, the next 20 years to work, and the last 20 years of my life, from 41 to 60, will be to serve the poor. So this is my full-time work for the last 36 years. It started way back when I was in high school. Oh, that was San Beda College. I was a legionnaire of the Legion of Mary. And I was assigned to work with the poor communities. And that's where I got the sense of service. We were a group called Association for Social Action, a group of disciples of Father Francisco Araneta of the Society of Jesus. We had a group of about 25 that would meet with him regularly every week. We would talk about national issues and he would teach us his expertise. He was an economist. We were motivated by Father Araneta to see how we could bring this to our lives. We helped form the Philippine Business for Social Progress in 1971. I joined a group of older businessmen. There were 5 of them. There's the 2 Soriano brothers, Andy Soriano and his brother Jose, Emilio Obelio of Meralco, Sixto Rojas, Ting Rojas, and myself. The same year, I decided to quit the business world. I was president of Unilab at that time. The idea was to implement what Father Fritz was teaching about social justice. So the idea is how to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor. And we thought of a business foundation. And 120 companies responded. Father Roneta thought that we should form a smaller foundation so we could ourselves be the program officers. So that's how we formed Assisi Foundation in 1975. Armando Baltasar, he started a program on social credit. That was the forerunner of it. Now we call it microfinance. Together with former associate director of PBSP, Nina Hamili, and she put up 10 groups of women all over Metro Manila. That was the start of what we call the social credit program. The first might be the children's program, Mother Teresa's group. They had a house full of children, and many of them, or most of them, were sick. So we would bring in doctors. When they're very sick, we bring them to the National Children's Hospital. Then we had another friend, Alejandro Bichaco, also an economist. He organized the farmers in Laguna into cooperatives. They have large rice land holdings. In each cooperative, we gave a rice milling machine. So we were bringing industrialization to the farms. I was from a pharmaceutical company, so I went into medical assistance. And one of the projects, I remember, was the first laser machine that was brought into the Philippines.
The 1980s and 1990s found Assisi responding with greater sensitivity to the leading of the Spirit. One of its major initiatives in its first decade was a project done in partnership with the Benigno Aquino Jr. Foundation in which Assisi responded to the problem of massive drought in the island of Negros. The starvation of thousands of sugarcane workers and their families was the reality that Assisi had to confront and resolve. From a basic fundraising initiative, the foundation led the way towards a full-blown land-sharing program between landowners and workers.
So this led to a very wonderful program where the landowners were doing land reform themselves, not waiting for government, and cutting up pieces of their land to give to the workers who were in need of food, so the workers can plant their own food. So we go where the Spirit leads us, and sometimes this comes in terms of emergencies. No?
It was in the 1990s when Assisi came to face one of its most challenging initiatives. Once again, it followed the leading of the Spirit in responding to the adverse effects in Mindanao of the all-out war between the Philippine government and the Moro Islamic Liberation Front. Led by Assisi, Tabang Mindanao transformed itself from a project that addressed the problem of drought into one that confronted the humanitarian crisis caused by the mass evacuation of thousands of people from their war-devastated towns and villages.
A big part of Mindanao was affected. I knew Assisi by itself could not cope with the problem. So we called on Manila larger foundations. And I think 6 or 7 foundations responded. We formed Tabang Mindanao.
Assisi's commitments throughout the 80s and 90s prepared it well for the various initiatives it established in its third decade. Under the leadership of its current president, Benjamin Abadiano, Assisi transformed itself more and more into a development agency that focused on efforts that promoted human security, capacity building, and reformative justice. Empowered by its experience and achievements in development work, Assisi ventured on into a variety of projects which today include scholarships to disadvantaged youth, medical assistance to indigent families, socioeconomic programs for Filipino indigenous peoples, water systems for remote and impoverished villages, sanctuaries of peace that protect entire provinces from the effects of future armed conflict, and the Hapag-asa feeding program for undernourished children.
Feeding program, again, this is where we're led by the Spirit. I get reports from Bahar Magahas, 30% of our children are malnourished. You might say that this feeding program might have the largest impact. This year our target is 250,000 children. Fortunately, we have good partners. It feeds 100,000 children.
Today, Assisi has become a major contributor to the work of further developing an entire nation through the promotion of social development and justice.
We have a new program, and we're calling it PPP-JDP, Public-Private Partnership for Justice, Development and Peace. We've chosen 10 poorest municipalities in the country going in to do social development work.
Through the years, he actually has helped me see life as it is. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't know much in terms of knowledge, but he's willing to teach you all these things. When Mr. D goes abroad for holidays with the family, then he comes back, there's always a chocolate bar for each one of us, or there's always a sharing. The thoughtfulness really boils down to that. And so I see that it continues to be true to its own calling. The stewardship is also with responsibility.
The Assisi Development Foundation continues to strive towards its vision of helping to build a society under the spirit of love and peace. Even after 36 years of faithful service, the foundation remains as passionate and inspired as it was in its founding year. It continues to move forward with greater devotion to its mission of designing, planning, and undertaking interventions that empower the poor and the marginalized. It dedicates itself all the more to its responsibility of working for the full human development and security of thousands of Filipinos. It is today an organization that truly lives out the meaning of the life witness of Saint Francis of Assisi.
I would say that to do the work that Jesus started, just being stewards. We are created by God, and God has created everything. And so we really don't own anything. We are just stewards.
Dove ci è ferito dove ci è duro